famous for being on time, right? I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
not always, but
All
anyway,
right.
I'm
All
usually
right.
I'm
Great.
usually a few minutes late. So anyway,
Okay. All right. Great. So yeah, that's a win. So would you like to share some updates, wins on your side first for today?
um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Go
think of
ahead.
some actually. I
Okay.
just
All
spent
right.
um, the weekend working in the garden really. So that was
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay. All right.
So I built some more walling and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife's been telling me I need to build some steps in the patio. So I built some steps in the patio, and then I started doing some more
Okay.
patio work. Just,
Okay.
all. But I went to a I went to a Pilates session with my wife
Uh-huh.
at
Oh.
9:15 on Sunday morning. That
Uh-huh.
was
Okay.
that was an achievement. So I did
All
that
right.
from a whatchamacallit, a fasting Pilates. And then this
Oh,
morning
okay.
I've decided I ate late last night. I say late, not, I mean, we had a bit of cake at about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm having what intermittent fasting. So you're
Oh,
allowed
okay.
water and coffee or black tea. So I'm just drinking coffee and I'll got my lunch
Okay.
ready. So that's,
Oh,
taking greater sense of my health. And also this morning, just a minute ago, I read this.
okay.
Um, Failure is a good thing as long as it does not become a habit. And then
Okay.
and then the next one
Oh,
is
wonderfully said.
um, uh, once avoiding failures becomes your motivation to do things, you have embarked on a path of laziness and powerlessness.
Oh,
An
wow.
optimist sees an opportunity in every calamity. A pessimist sees a calamity in every opportunity. Um,
So well said.
so that's Mr. Rockefeller for you.
Oh, from JD
Um,
Rockefeller. Wow. Wow.
so
Nice. Oh,
that's his seventh letter to his son. Right.
okay. Okay.
Um,
Wow. Wow.
and I'm just, so that was written 1899. Remarkable.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and I suppose, when you think about it, we haven't really changed much
Mhm.
as a species, I reckon, for a long time.
No.
So
No.
I reckon the very original kind of traders, very original. I mean, we've been the one of the distinctions between ourselves and other species is the fact that we do trade.
Right. Right.
Um,
Sure.
if we believe the Matt Ridley perspective, um, and I find that quite interesting, really. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, so
Okay. Okay.
I suppose the win from a commercial point of view is on Friday. I did an Ardos with Shaba again, which was really
Okay.
interesting because his has changed
Okay.
slightly, and
Okay.
um, and then I followed that up with doing an Ardos for myself for the week. Um,
Okay.
and so Friday afternoon, I'd got my frog sorted for Monday. I'd done everything, so that allowed me to have a
Mhm.
completely free weekend,
Oh, really? Okay.
without any
Great.
kind of, oh, I should be doing this, oh, I should be looking at planning the weekend.
Okay.
No, I've done it all. I did it all on Friday. I
Okay.
can now
Great.
relax and recover over the weekend. So that's that. All right, I'll shut up now.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Fantastic. All right. Thanks for sharing. So Shabao is your partner? I mean, I guess client? Shab?
No, no, no. So do you remember we spoke with him? He's the technical
Okay.
guy. He's a pro. He's a coder. He runs his own
Oh, Shaba.
company.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Okay. I see. All right. Good. All right.
So he's on AMP,
I
but
see.
he's
I
an
see.
entrepreneur.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. I see. All right. Great. All right. So I'll share my it's a well it's a wonderful weekend. Okay. Aris and I we went to see our daughter and spend really some nice time chatting with her. I also did some badminton as a club exercise. I think I'm going there on a regular basis now on Saturday. And so definitely very good family time. Before that, on Friday, I met with AK. Okay, so this is actually one guy who was attending the Planet Mixer thing, the Stanford alumni mixer thing. You might have known.
Right.
I kind of started a sender, and he's the guy who's doing investment to the degree of 100 M. Okay, that's the level he's doing. Okay, usually growth stage. Okay, but be sure. I mean, growth stage usually that's they require a lot more capital. Yeah, but he's fairly well versed, connected, and also pretty say experienced. So he made a comment after I shared with him about the barter thing that I may be spreading myself too thin. Okay, and his advice feedback for me is drop everything. Okay, and maybe just keep one or two things. Okay, and focus on that. Right. So that's
Does
kind of
that sound familiar to you, Shunyun?
oh yeah, that's very very familiar. Okay, I get that feedback all the time. And actually not just from him, from Young as well, the real estate guru expert, yeah, that's also what, so like second time in a row, okay, like two times actually within a week, I would say. Yeah, probably, yeah, about a week apart. Yeah, so that's, oh, but there is another nice comment from his another partner of him, Michael, another Mike, that he basically feedback on JCF, saying that it would be a tough sell, okay, for UBI because frankly they don't believe in UBI. I think I get that feedback as well from wealthy people, like Tim Draper. Like wealthy people don't really believe UBI. I don't yet find, I haven't talked to one that kind of has a positive idea. They really think that kind of screw people up, that kind of make people, without incentive, and and work is spiritual. It has value. Okay, shouldn't like so. However, I think there is a really good feedback that if you're advocating saying that we're doing UB education, universal basic education, okay, let's say you are spreading credits for people to go to school and learn and get training. That's something he'd be interested to support. Okay. Obviously, he's talking now. Okay. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to, like actually vote with his money, right? But that's I think an interesting thought and feedback. That was a good one. And then, AK also suggested this book to me called Siddhartha, okay, by a guy, Hermann Hesse. I don't know if you heard of him, a German writer, philosopher. Actually,
Hermann Hesse. Was he
as
not one of the Nazis?
oh, really?
Was that Rudolf Hess?
Maybe Rudolph.
Yeah.
Hermann Hesse is actually one of the Nobel laureates in literature.
Probably not a Nazi then.
Okay. 1922, the book, his ninth
Oh,
novel.
really? Okay.
Siddhartha. It's a story at Buddha's time. Okay, so actually I finished that audiobook yesterday. Okay, probably just over the weekend. It's a short read, a short listening, but very insightful, very deep. Okay, and I don't know if you heard or read it, but it's very good. One thing I kind of learned from that is it's I'll spare the details, but one of the message I took was wisdom is something probably that cannot be learned or taught, let's say through words or information. Like we can learn information and knowledge, right? But wisdom is something you have to kind of realize through experience on yourself. So in that sense, it's something that's very individual and personal. It cannot really be taught in that sense. So in that sense, kind of the wisdom you gain may not you may not gain it from just learning from other people. And likewise, it's also something you cannot really teach other people for it, like your son or your children. Although we all try to, do that at times. So I think that's a really interesting,
Yeah,
there's a certain wisdom to that, right? Um, yeah, but okay, but anyway, I guess uh, I do still think that, there's a very important role for a mentor teacher. Okay, that is still right now my kind of my belief. Uh, yeah, but I think it's also it's in the process of I think experiencing, reflecting and realizing that one can actually, I guess, be uplifted. It's so yeah, I think it's a combination of, yourself and the environment. That yeah, so I guess that's a win. Um, and I think one more thing that kind of to me at least personally is that this weekend I almost signed up for a chat with a advisor, about doing a TED talk. Okay. Uh, I kind of scheduled in the Saturday morning, just 2 hours before the meeting. It didn't happen. Okay, I guess it's too short a time. But that actually made me realize something profound, and maybe a topic for discussion today is that you know focusing on my unique ability. And if I'm really truly, or if we truly want to go that way, okay, then there's a lot of big change that, adjustment change that will likely happen. Okay, so this is something, I guess, yeah, it's something I like to discuss for today. Okay, so which is the question of how can, you know, both of us focus more on our unique ability and literally strip away everything else. Okay, so all right, all right, so that's kind of the win. I don't know how that sounds to you. You look puzzled.
yeah. It's
Or
well, I don't
concerned.
understand what the win is.
Okay,
What's the
okay, all
win?
right. So, so the win
Did you have a
there
nice
is,
time?
well,
Did
it's
you did you learn something concrete?
okay. So, something concrete is, well, this is, okay. I'm just going to share, I guess, my current thoughts. Okay, current honest thoughts, which is, I think I'm good at. Well, also, I think this is with the, I think what's called the Clifton Strength Test. Okay, I did a while back ago, with Coach. Okay, you probably also did it. Actually, my top, they gave you five, but I only remember my top two. Okay, first is in vision. Okay, so visioning. The second is strategic. Okay, so being strategic about things. Okay, so these are probably my two highest, I guess, most unique capability or unique ability. So if I were to focus strictly on these two, let's say almost 80, 90 plus of my time, then I would operate very, very differently from now. Okay, I guess that's kind of the, and there's also some implication stemming from that. One more concrete thing is to basically kind of step back from any kind of operation or kind of doing activity, okay? But rather, okay, become a coach to whoever is doing it, doing stuff, okay? So basically envisioning and coaching on strategy on how to do stuff. So one idea actually would be to really find another person who's technically capable enough to fill in the role for a CEO for JCF, for example. And then, so this is a concrete thought and work directly with you, okay, as the current CEO, although that's something to be discussed because I recall you mentioned you also don't want to be CEO of stuff. There's something else you'd rather be doing. So yeah, but the idea is basically allowed me to step out of basically doing things completely, okay, and see where that will take things. Yeah. So I guess that's the or do as little as possible. Okay, so that I guess that's a scary change, and including okay, open sourcing the whole JCF software, make it an open source project. Okay, so I think those are that's more concrete steps that has came out of this thinking. All right, so yeah, so I guess those are the two things. The uniquity, can we focus purely on them, and also open sourcing but the current software. Yeah, so okay, those are heavy questions, I guess. So yeah, so for I guess anything on your side. Oh, and by the way, there are a few other wins. Those are the executing kind of wins, okay, that are concrete. Just an update. For the Taiwanese regulatory part, all we have to do, we figure out, just fill out an AML declaration form, which I did this morning. Okay, so once
excellent.
it's submitted, okay, if we are accepted and clear, our company name will be put on the list, which is right now just a one-pager. There's probably like 24 companies on the list, but it's not approval. It's just, you know, AML declaration that's being screened. Okay, the Taiwanese SEC made it clear, yeah. But that would be good, and that, you know, with that, our bank probably will, you know, back to normal. So that's a win there. Also, I delegated the strategy monitoring. Although you did feedback the video wasn't clear, and I appreciate that. I did have a session last Friday with Poet, and now she will be watching 5 days a week for the tech indicators. It was, I think, simple enough for her to understand what to do. So I think what she'll be doing is, I might want to ask her to maybe just post a snapshot on a daily basis, okay, and alert us, both of us, should there be an enter signal. Okay, so that's another. And another win is I also experimented with liquidity pool now. Actually got to a software, got it installed. It's called Zarian. Okay, I think it's got a pretty nice interface. Still trying, but it's something that, you know, they actually have crypto index, okay, of DeFi index, metaverse index that you can buy.
When you say you're exploring the liquidity pool with somebody else, where does that leave you with against somebody, the guys at whatchamacallit, Fluidify?
Fluidify. Oh, okay. So Fluidify, I think that is, you know, that is really about the liquidity pool performances. Okay, and also I think it's more with API integration to make it. I also register for Fluidify account. Okay, so that's also something I'm also surveying at the moment. But the account, yeah, just some email issues, I think. We do have a broken email system. I mean, with JCF.
Who does?
Yeah.
JCF has a broken email system.
Right, JCF.world. I think that email, the domain still works, but the email, I think the email hasn't been working for a while.
Right.
So, right.
I really don't like that.
Okay.
Web platform, webmail. I mean, I don't know where it doesn't cost anything. Is that why we're using it?
Okay. The domain cost, and it's the mail server
but the email doesn't.
That comes with the domain. Yeah, it's a simple
It's a was it cPanel kind of thing that comes with
right. That's right.
I don't like it for a number of different reasons. One, I think it doesn't work properly. You know, we're always having problems with our calendars syncing, with our time zones and having the right time zone. You know, G Suite is a really good functioning thing. I mean, it does now cost money to run on G Suite, or Workspace or whatever it's called at the moment. So that's a negative. But it would mean then that if you give somebody an email, then you give them an email for a reason, and that's because they're working.
Right.
But then that would also mean that I don't know how much you're paying for this Zoom platform, for instance, but if you're using Workspace, you get that set up and it's done. You can use it for hundreds of people. You do recording and all the rest of it. So there's a you're paying for Zoom, so I think it's a much better platform, more reliable. But anyway, that's just a personal observation. Okay, so feedback from what all the things that you've said. Yeah, knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. I've thought that for a long time, actually. I mean, it's just you don't get wisdom, you get it when you when you have experience and you marry that to your knowledge. What I found interesting, though, have I said to you that I don't think you focus enough? I think you spread too thin.
Right. That was a long time ago.
Right. Okay. I'm a patient guy, really, I think.
Okay.
But you do. It's as simple as. And I think there's an importance here about what is the difference between plate spinning and what is the difference between not getting anything done or getting less done because you're trying to do too much. And there's a balance there that I don't think any entrepreneur gets it right. But I think certainly some entrepreneurs are much better at doing it than others. And I'm not suggesting that I'm good at it at all. I'm not saying that from that point of view. I'm saying it from an observation as a peer. So I remember you also saying to me that I think you said it was ideas are cheap.
Yeah. That's right.
Now I don't.
Cheap. Right.
You said that to me.
Yeah. Right.
Now, and I when you said it to me, I thought I got the impression you were thinking of it as in a way that wasn't what I thought it should be. So what that means to me is anybody can have an idea.
Right. Sure.
An idea is worth nothing. The value comes in the execution and the delivery of the idea.
Exactly. Yes, it is. That's very
However, when you were telling it to me, you were talking about how you have ideas and how you are visionary.
Right.
It was in the context of talking about, what you believe to be your unique capability of being a visionary person. And I don't disagree with you. You are a visionary person. That goes without saying. I'm not suggesting it. You're not. The difference between being a visionary person and being a successful entrepreneur and being visionary is the ability to get things implemented.
Right. Exactly. I fully agree.
Now, and being visionary, I think, is in the context of a workplace. And here's the thing about focus as well. So being able to focus on a subject. So if the subject is JCF, and that's the main priority because that's the channel to getting the ultimate goal, right? If that's the direction, then it's not anything else. So around about March time, you had an idea, you had a visionary idea. And that was to set up a conference after Collision, which was all to do with the planet and stuff like that.
Right.
And you posted
summit, essentially, yes.
Yeah, and you posted about that, and you were going to get Bill Gates and all sorts of people. Did it happen?
No, it didn't happen.
Right. Now, I think, although I might not have been very discouraging, I was clearly not enthusiastic about it because as far as I was concerned, you were wasting your time.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
I'll say it to you now because at the time I didn't want to say something because anything too negative because I didn't want to be too negative and I didn't want to appear like right. It frustrated me because it was like you were wasting your mental energy and or your energy on focusing on something that wasn't going to help JCF.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an example, I think, of an idea that's cheap, that was a dilution of your energy on a project that wasn't going anywhere. The difference between having an idea about something and having an idea about something and then the implementation is does it bring value to the task in hand?
Okay.
So if it's just an idea on something over there, well then it's not going to bring, and it doesn't bring any value to the task in hand, then how is it of value? It's just a distraction.
Okay.
And I think when your guys tell you that you're spreading yourself too thin, I think it's because you've got too many ideas going on. Now, and your equation of I'm a visionary, also the strengths filter isn't just about why do they give you 5 strengths? Your Clifton strengths are 5 elements. They're not 2. They're not saying, well, these are the 2 that you should focus on. They're saying that you've got the ability to do these 5 things. They're where your strengths are. So you can hone, so you know that when you're going and making decisions, are they relative to your strengths? Doesn't necessarily mean, you should go, well, let's just focus on this one here because it's the one that I like. The thing about UBI and not being appreciated by the wealthy, right? We kind of understood this a little bit when we spoke with those Swiss guys, right? And their feedback wasn't that, oh, what a great idea. It's, us is really interesting. We can leverage this against the idea that rich people don't want there to be lots of poor people moaning about rich people and taking all of their wealth. So it's a way in which people can almost mitigate the risk that they're going to face. Do you know what I mean? It was that kind of thought. Right. Which I thought was really interesting. But I'm going to read you a couple of sentences or something, right?
It's a self-preservation move, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is something I recite to myself every day, and I'm not very good with. I learn things and I put them in my memory, but I'm not very good at necessarily reciting them from memory to other people. I can do it for myself, so I'm going to read it to you, right?
Okay.
Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be worthy of the trust of thy neighbour and look upon him with a bright and friendly face. Be a treasure to the poor and an admonisher to the rich, an answerer to the cry of the needy, a preserver of the sanctity of thy pledge. Goes on quite a while, but the point is for that first chunk, right? That first chunk is very much why I feel tied to JCF.
Okay.
Because it is for me, JCF is potentially an embodiment of that. The idea that there is,
right.
And I think it's about the Baha'i principle that there being a more equal distribution of wealth.
Okay.
So actually, no, forgive me. The actual principle is, was it more equal distribution of wealth? It's a removal of the extremes of wealth and poverty.
Okay. Basically, moderation, right? It's more about moderation, right? It's about moderation.
Now, I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was saying how he's done all these different mathematical models using these programs. And basically, he's set up all of these different economies, obviously fictitious, but he runs the maths. And basically, the economies that have the largest number of middle class are the economies which are the most wealthiest economies as a whole.
Oh, really?
The point being, the more middle class you have, because the more the middle class are earning, the more that they're saving and the more that they're investing.
I see.
As
And that's
opposed
good
to
for the economy overall, right? That's actually good
because
for
the economy as a whole becomes more wealthy. So everybody becomes more wealthy.
And also more healthy, I guess. Also more healthy in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this idea that rich people don't like the idea of UBI, there's a side of me that says, yeah, you don't like the idea of that because it means people are being given something for nothing. And you don't like that because you're a rich person and you've earned everything that you've got. Or you've learned how to protect your wealth and manage your wealth so that you do, it is protected. And all that does is it just channels wealth into the same proportion of society that owns wealth. Now, there are outliers that come into that. So 30% of the UK's land is owned by the aristocracy, which you can date back to the time of William the Conqueror.
Okay.
That being said, there are always outliers that come into that kind of niche group. But if you've got a system that protects the amount of that 1% or that 5% of the society that holds 90% of the wealth or whatever the percentages are, then that's not actually good. So why I'm talking about that is because JCF has an impact of that. Now, the fact that the guy finds it more palatable, that if JCF was an educational thing for universal education, he would back it. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, if it was me, I might have asked him, well, okay, how much are you willing to put in front of that, and we'll make JCF universal basic education.
UBE, universal basic education.
How much do you want to invest in that, mate?
All right, you're a quick wit. I mean, I wish I would be more witty. Okay. Well, that's a good question. Yeah.
But I mean, that's it. So there's that, and then there's another point. I said to you the other day, I sent you a message saying about immunology.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're having
there's a potential there for some, that's real work. Okay. That's where you'll make profit.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Now.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how you. I don't know how you live, right? I don't know what your costs are. I don't know anything about how you make your money and all the rest of it. If I'm looking, the reason why I go to coach is Dan has done this since the 70s, and so consequently he's learnt an awful lot. But he's also managing a company and he's running a company on the basic of the principles that he's developed. And I know I doubt it very much that I'll ever be coached by
his wife. His wife is managing though. That's his wife.
Fine, yeah. But I mean, in the context of he's had the idea and he started the company and then he stepped back and he does less and less and less and all the rest of it. The thing is, it's gotten to a stage. It gets to a point whereby the entrepreneur can step back because they built the entity. I don't want to look at myself. They built the entity to be a certain size.
Right.
And they're able to step back because the entity operates on its own right.
Right.
And if your entity isn't operating in its own right, then how do you step back? And I think the challenge that you're facing, Shunyun, is you'd like to be in a world where you sit and think about things and contemplate, and then you give your wisdom. This is the academic of you. This is why you're an academic, because it's easy to sit in an office and think of things and write things down and develop ideas. It's not easy to make things real.
Right.
And being an entrepreneur is about making things real. Now, you might find that, and the difference between education in and again, anti-fragile, the guy is not, and he does not approve of education for the sake of education, right?
Okay. Right.
He approves of education where you learn through trial and error. And I just think you've got a dilemma there, because your innate ability is so heavily tied with your kind of your academic,
right, the academic side
process.
Exactly.
And that is
so
is not. Now, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then you have to change. And that doesn't mean sitting down and giving outsourcing the jobs to other people, because how do you know who the right people are? And until you've done something, and this is the other thing, I think that if I was talking to it, I know I could walk. Okay, so for example, there was a guy who got sent to me, and I offered to coach him at £1,500 a day.
Right.
Now, he didn't take me up on it because it was too expensive for him. He didn't say that, but I could tell. But I knew that I was worth it because of where he was at and where I was at, what I've learned through doing stuff, and where he was at within his. And he didn't know that he was worth it either. So part of the problem is that the person has to know that they're worth spending the money on themselves. And worth buying. So the point I'm trying to make there is that I had the confidence because of the history that I've got with myself. And I think that, we kind of reflect the value that we have in ourselves by the prices that we charge. Right. And I just think that if I was looking for a coach that was going to teach me how to be a super great entrepreneur, chief executive, or whatever it is, then I would look for somebody who's been there and done it a number of times. And has got a track record to say, well, my first company, I grew from X to Y. My second company failed. My third company grew from A to Z. Do you know what I mean? It's like they would be able, I'm still operating with this, and this. These are the mistakes I made. These are the learnings I had. And, quite frankly, I don't have to do anything for the rest of my life, but I'm choosing to do this because I'm giving back, right? Now, there's a difference between that and faking it till you make it, in the way that the guy Russell Brunson talks about in .com Secrets, where he says that you can do, there's examples of people that didn't know what they were doing, or they weren't experts in the field, but they brought in all these different experts, they brought them into a group, and then by association they become experts.
The reporter path.
Yeah, which is how Ben started. So Ben started collating all of these different viewpoints, and one of his first books was just a summary of other people's thoughts. Great. He then, and I've told you why I don't think he's a great entrepreneur. Because he's killed the entrepreneurial golden goose. Sorry, he's killed a business golden goose that would have generated income for him. He's not let it run, right? He's not allowed it to be a self-managing company. So I think the challenge then, and I'm saying all of this not to be negative, Shunyun, I just find it it's difficult for me because what does that mean then? If you're going to walk away and then go, right, well, okay, I'm just going to sit here and have ideas. The ideas don't mean anything unless.
So Mike,
we're gonna
I do appreciate the feedback. Okay, very much, but I also like to get practical. Okay. So
what does practical mean?
I in terms of what can we do, how to move forward, right? I appreciate your feedback and also your angle. Okay, I think there is a lot of truth and a lot of validity in it. Okay, based on your experience and actually successful experience to be. And I also do agree, and I admit, and I definitely see it, that you are a better entrepreneur than I am in many, I guess, many ways.
I wouldn't say that.
Many different aspects of the world. While simply entrepreneur is by definition, it's someone, you know, who builds a business, right? That's making value, right, to clients, to society, and earn a profit in return. And I think you're much more ahead. Actually, I think all the people around me are much more ahead in that regard. Okay, including the guy I talked to last week. I mean, he's definitely pretty well off for himself, for his family. So I do appreciate, you know, everything, and you know, really also the fact that I am able to talk to you. Okay, talk to all these more successful people. I think this is I'm really truly, I guess, fortunate in that sense. Okay. I do, however, suspect that I'm going to be a very different entrepreneur. That is also something I know very true in my heart. That, you know, everybody has a different path. I happen to come from a really very academic background. You know, have a very academic family, very academic parents, and that's also, you know, I'm also very intellectually inclined. And yet, for some reason, you know, like I just love the idea of, you know, becoming an entrepreneur. Okay, and in fact, being a quote unquote struggle, I've been struggling, trying to struggle well, okay, along that journey, right? I say I'm still struggling. I mean, it's yeah, but then again, all the entrepreneurs are struggling, I think, to different degrees. It's just whether you're struggling better, right? So so I do feel that I have a different path. Now the question or the dilemma for me is whether I should explore and find out what that path is, right? Because it's probably not someone else's path or some path that's being walked already. So yeah, but I also don't want to get too, I guess, academic about this. So I do have some thoughts that I think there are some, I guess, concrete things maybe we can discuss about how to move forward, right? So are there anything, because I do have a couple of really concrete things I want to kind of discuss and, you know, see your feedback on. So is there anything today you'd like to discuss on your end? I mean, like what would be the one or two things you want to, I guess, have a discussion
on? This opportunity with immunology.
Okay, this is something you'd like to discuss. All right. So maybe, okay, so maybe let's discuss that first. Okay, let's discuss that first. Okay. All right. So what are there any things you like to, I guess, get confirm or get feedback, or you'd like to explain a bit more?
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for a scope of works, but essentially the essentially the customer's going to come back with that. Once they do, then okay. So the way it works is that their IT department. So there's a company of about 600 people, and the people who
what's the revenue
and there's
a
whole something like 50 million, I think, something like Um,
50 million, about 50 million.
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Good. All right.
I can't remember actually.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's that scale.
Yeah. So the there's a whole department for doing development work, but that
Okay.
development work is always focused on the sales team and the customer or the customers.
Okay.
So the development is 100%. So they have a waiting list, and the IT department have a development list of wants.
Okay.
But the waiting list means that the IT department will sit on a 12-month waiting list, and they need the results now.
12-month waiting list. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he said, do you know of anybody that can help us with it? I said, yeah, absolutely, I do, because of the work that I've done within blockchain. Developers are all over the place, and it's regardless of whether or not they're, whether or not you're looking for Python, C++, or whatever the thing is, and whether or not you need to have agile, friendly, and etc. We can deliver. So that's the context. So I'm waiting for a scope of work. Once I've got that scope of works, then I'll know. Then we'll have a better understanding as to what's required. Then we'll have better understanding of what's required. Then we might have some more questions to clarify.
All right.
But once that's all done,
right,
what I'll want, I mean, of course, it will depend on what needs to be done, right? What the scope of works might require only, I don't know, a Java programmer, not somebody who can do something a bit more exotic, right?
Okay, sure. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I think it's the business question, the challenge they like to solve. I think that's the important thing. What kind of business value is it going to come up from this? Yeah.
And I guess the thing that we need to then do is go, well, okay, we need to get it done within a certain time frame and within a certain budget and to a certain level of skill. And then we need to agree what those three are with the customer. And then we've got to deliver on it. And because I've never engaged with you at that level, I don't know how good you are.
Okay, all right.
And if I'm going to put you in front of a customer and I'm going to sit there and say, do you know what? IncomSec recommends working with Immunology because we know they've got a track record of delivering. I need to be certain that I'm not going to be having a conversation with Shun Yun in 6 weeks after we start a 6-month project. That Shun Yun's going to be saying, "Well, I'm going to be off doing some visionary work for the next, 80% of my time, and I sacrifice my project because I don't want it coming back to me. The IncomSec looks like we don't know what we're doing. So I just have to be a lot more diligent about it because it's not something I know what the parameters are. It's not a project that I'm used to.
Sure.
I can gauge people to do and I can trust people to do certain jobs that I've never engaged with them because I know what the job will entail, and you can kind of so when it's something new, I need to get really nitty gritty. Once I understand what the parameters are, then I'll know from the feedback that I get whether or not somebody's capable of delivering.
Okay, great. All right, that's fair. All right. So I guess it's one, I guess 2 questions. So I think let me see if I hear you correctly. Okay. I think what you're saying is you have this big client and they have a problem, development related. And now you're trying to see if you can help them to solve this problem as well, right? Because if this problem can be solved with whoever partner, whoever you're introducing, that obviously helps them, but that also helps basically the relation, the value with this client, right? Because you're helping them to solve bigger problem, bigger issues, more comprehensively, kind of in a solution manner, right? But now you do have concerns. Okay, first, because you haven't done anything like this before. So one, you don't know if the person right now you're thinking about is immunology and Shenyuan. You don't know if this is, can be delivered, right, as promised or as expected for the client, because you don't want to ruin this relation, right? And also, secondly, you're also unsure about, I guess, the scope, the effort that's going to involve, or exactly how to run this kind of project. Is that right? So one is about the how aspect of doing this. The second is about the, I guess, the results, the deliverable, whether it will be satisfactory. That's the second aspect. I mean, those are like two concerns, two uncertainties. So am I hearing correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. So I'll provide some feedback, okay, regarding, or I guess maybe I'll try to be as professional as I can. Okay. All right. So I wouldn't claim I'm the best project manager. I do have a few projects, done, directly overseeing, and there have been different models. What I can say is that first off, you have to understand. Okay, so well, I'll address the first thing about the scope thing. There are three aspects to any software project: quality, money, and time. Okay, so quality, budget, and time. Okay, you can get 2 out of 3, but never 3 out of 3. So you have to decide which two you cared more.
Yeah. No, I understand that. But I mean, if you
So,
agree if you agree what the parameters are for those 3, where one of them will be less than 2 of them, then you're agreeing that the parameters. It's going to take 6 months.
I mean, but
that's the time element. Boom.
Right, exactly.
And if the customer's happy with that, then that's it. It's going to cost $10,000. Boom.
Right. That's exactly. We want to know what the client, the customer really care about. Okay. And in my experience, client usually will talk about, I don't know, well, I guess it's also different clients. What I discovered is that there's usually a hidden assumption about the quality or the spec. Okay, that client actually is like really tightened to it. But I guess it's also a matter of how experienced they are. Okay, because for an experienced client, okay, or someone who actually have gone through development process like us, okay, because we are clients sometimes to our own developers or to other external developers as well. You know, you would actually trade time, timing with other things. Sometimes budget is fixed, but timing is fixed, and you well adjust spec or scale down on spec, but that is something through experience. Okay, so I guess the first important thing is to have a conversation and understand what are their views about these 3 parameters, and also what is the business goal they're trying to achieve. I think that is actually the more important question, because I'll give you an example. We did a project that was basically a call center that wanted to have a customer relations CRM software. Okay, and the original request or idea was they want to custom build it. Okay, but given the scope and given what we understood, we actually suggest that let's adopt an existing open source software that's already with maybe 80-90% of what you're able, what you want to do. And then we'll make the custom adjustment for you. That will be our development work. Okay, so eventually we deliver on that. Okay, and I think that was a much better solution than if we were to done, and also cheaper for them. They did not really have the resource to actually do. So that's the kind of thing I think our expertise can offer. Okay, which is what might be a better path towards actually realizing your business goal. Okay, so
I guess the thing, Shinyan, is what I want to know and what I want to hear is that scope of works, the 3 things, just
Right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just the three things that, the priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna? And if I bring it to you and you're gonna, we can do it. Are we gonna do it? Is it gonna work? Are you committed to it?
Okay. Okay. So again, this
I can't hear you. You're cracking up. There's nothing. I can't hear you at all.
feedback about how I think this
I don't know what you just said. For the last 40 seconds, you've just been crackling and staggering. There's been massive latency on the line. No.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Hello. Yeah, better.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, so I think probably there's something. Okay, all right. I don't think I can end
No, gone again.
in terms of am I committed or can I provide a pros solving your so make sure that it delivers can actually
Shinyan,
work. Okay,
you've got
first time
massive lag
experience.
going on.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, all right. Let me switch to another network. Hold on a sec. Just hold on. I think this is a network issue. Um, uh, 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 all right. Uh, 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 hello.
Hello.
All right. So is it better now?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So switch to another network. All right. So I guess
Okay.
yeah, this is another place. All right. So what I suggest is to go from something small first. Okay. So kind of like a pilot project, something on a smaller scale that actually, should be delivered within a short time, 2, 3 weeks of time. Okay. And
So,
then start from there.
what do you mean with this particular client or with somebody else?
Right. With this client and or try to chop off the scope. Okay. So that there's
But
a
we don't know
small
what it is,
project.
though.
Right, exactly. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is something that's deliverable, let's say 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, a small project. Okay, but
Yeah,
we run
but
through the
that,
whole project. Yeah.
so what concerned me is when I asked you a direct question, are you going to be able to deliver? You were starting to say, I can't answer that, or to answer that question is a no, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
That was
because
what it sounded
right,
like to me. So the thing is,
right.
if you're saying that as an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
is I don't say no to anything.
Oh, okay.
Because that's not a solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, there's a difference between the way I answer when I'm certain
Mm-hmm.
about something and when I'm not.
Okay.
So when I'm certain about something, I say, yeah, I can do that, and I
Uh-huh.
back it up with the reason why.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'm confident that we can deliver a solution because the work that I've done with blockchain people and understanding and the range of engineers and coding guys and programmers that I've
Mm-hmm.
come
Okay.
into
Right.
contact with means that we can deliver.
Mm. Okay. Right.
That's confidence. Can I do the
Okay.
coding? No, I can't. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not stupid enough to
Right.
say that. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's something that I'm not familiar with,
Uh-huh.
right, and I have no experience, then I'll
Right.
say, well, I understand that the issue is ABC.
Right.
It's not something that we've done before, but let me look
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Right.
And I'm
Okay.
pretty certain we can sort out a solution for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Okay.
becomes more, it's more honest an approach, but it's never a no.
Hmm. I
And
see. Okay.
so if your answer is
Mm-hmm.
I can't commit to it, then
Hmm.
that doesn't sell me any confidence that the job's going to get done.
Oh,
What I
okay.
need to know as a supplier is that are you gonna be committed to making sure the job is done? Yes or no? Yes, of course
Mm-hmm.
so.
Oh,
How
okay.
you actually do that is a
Mm-hmm.
different thing. So if you're
Okay.
saying and the best way to do that
Uh-huh. Right.
is when we understand the scope, we'll
Mm-hmm.
understand the commitment that is required, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll understand how we can chunk that into a number of small projects if
Mm-hmm.
it's a big project,
Right.
and we'll know how best to deliver it so
Mm-hmm.
that we're constantly getting small wins.
Hmm. Okay.
There's no knowing that answer.
I see. Okay. Well, that's great. All right.
And here's the thing:
Uh-huh.
I never lie to anybody. Right? I
Uh-huh.
believe that being ethical and being honest is
Okay.
correct.
Right. Right.
Do I tell all my customers the margin that I'm making and the profit I'm making on every one
Mm-hmm.
of my sales? No, I
Mm-hmm.
do not.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If they ask me, would I tell them? I would probably give them a range,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
but I
Mm-hmm.
don't voluntarily give them everything. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Right.
And so, but when I'm talking to suppliers, then I am honest and I
Mm-hmm.
am open. And if
Mm-hmm.
I want 50% margin, then I'm asking for it. If
Mm-hmm.
they're
Okay.
offering 10% margin, I'll tell them where
Right.
to go.
Okay.
See
I
what I
see.
mean? So there's different levels of of kind of openness that you have with people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, but anyway,
All
I
right.
don't want this to be
All right.
only. I mean, this is an academic conversation because at the end of the
It
day,
is.
we don't have a scope of work, so it's not going anywhere.
Right.
What I wanted to establish is
Mm-hmm.
that's potentially some work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I say you, I mean immunology. So whether or not you outsource it to whoever, that's what you do. So I don't care
Right. Right.
as long as it gets done. Um, but yeah, none of this will happen if we don't have a scope of works because we won't be able to price for it.
Right. True.
So,
Yeah. So my
but
my, my
what I didn't
question
want.
that okay, my one question I like to know is, do you see yourself involved in this work? I mean, as in the project, or mainly just to introduce, like this is someone, a developer that can
No, the way
use
it
like
would
all.
work would be
Okay.
no, I don't. So the way that I would work is I have the relationship with the customer.
Right.
Oops, there. Right.
Right.
And then we have a supplier over here.
Okay.
Now, once I identify that that supplier is absolutely right for this customer,
okay.
I will facilitate the dialogue.
Right.
And I will manage the relationship.
Okay.
But as far as the supplier is concerned, they'll sit there and do whatever they do.
Okay.
So you would go off and source whoever. You would once we've agreed what the scope is and the timescales and all the deliverables, you would sit there and say what the timeline is for that. Then you and I would have that interface, and I would interface back to the customer. And then every time we get to do a handover of a deliverable, it might be that the two of us would sit down with the customer and go, there it is.
Okay.
That's deliverable number one, on time, on budget, as we agreed.
Okay.
Deliverable number two.
Okay.
That's and if the customer sits, and then when I would do is then I would go away after that. I'll go away to the customer and go, well, is that how you wanted it? Is that what you expected? Get their feedback, and then I'd bring it back to you. And then I would get you a more honest opinion, because the customer's going to trust me to say, do you know what? It's better than I anticipated. It's fantastic. Or these guys are, I don't know, I was really disappointed because.
Right. Okay. All
right. But I'd be able to give that without having to worry about anything, and the customer can give it to me because they know I'm kind of separated.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Okay, good. So that's the role you can play and want to play, right? I mean, basically, keeping the relation, and also the I guess both the relation and also get the the liaison, the interface between the supplier and the client, the customer.
Yeah, but if you sit there and say to me, right, I can do this project in 1 week, and it will cost $5,000. And then you turn to me at the end of the week and go, no, I need another 6 weeks and it's going to cost $30,000.
Okay.
That ain't going to cut the mustard.
Okay. That's the bad thing, right?
And what I don't want to have is that kind of mission creep that, I mean, obviously it's different if the customer says that they want more bells and whistles and they change the parameters, and that's a different thing. But if we're promising to do, X by Y date for Z budget, then that's what we need to deliver
on. Okay.
Right. I don't want to have any other conversations around that. But I don't know, and I can't imagine that it'd be difficult for somebody who knows what they're doing.
Okay. Right. All right. Okay. So yes. All right. So okay, just quick feedback on this. Okay. I think what immunology right now can do is project management. Okay, we do have some developers, but I think the strength and experience more is on the project management part. Okay, so this is the part where, depending on the scope again, okay, depending on the scope, I think we also want to know, okay, so Josh, yeah, I am having, sync with Josh which is this time, okay, 5 p.m., which is, I think, your 10, right, or 10 a.m. Yeah, so I think this is also relevant to Josh. Yeah, just to let Josh know that Mike has a client, a big client, who's asking if they got software developer that can help solve some issues. Right now, we don't know the scope yet, okay, but it could be a business for immunology. So at that time, I think I'd like to invite Josh to also, do some evaluation, because Josh is experienced and has done a couple of projects with us. Okay, so yeah, so Josh, can you hear?
Yes.
All right, okay. So I was just sharing my feedback, which is I think we do have developer experience and also project management, but we also have another resource, which is we have actually contracted and worked with another Vietnamese company, okay, over, they actually have, I think, 150, 200 people, developers of all different languages. Okay. So we did have that experience of working with them. Yeah. So depending on the scope, again, or I guess the technical requirement, another way which I think also will be more flexible is for us as the project manager, okay, as the interface. And maybe the actual development, we will also contact or get this, company to jump in. Okay.
Yeah, but if from the point of view of what you actually do is project management, but as far as the customer is concerned, they're handing over the scope of works and they want the project delivered. So the fact that you subcontract out to any number of developers is irrelevant to how many you actually use.
To them. Exactly. It's irrelevant.
No, not transparent. It's irrelevant.
Oh,
so the customer wants a result. They don't care whether or not you use Vietnamese geniuses or monkeys from the jungle in Africa. It doesn't really matter so long as the job gets done.
Okay.
And I think that's the important thing. So
okay. So are you happy with the conversation so far? I guess is it okay
generally
now? Okay. All right. I hope you're getting something out from this discussion as well. Okay. And so let's discuss the second thing. All right. So yeah, before that, Josh, haven't seen you for a while. So and by the way, did you get the I guess the payment from the stage 1, just to confirm that, of the wealth system? Did you get that already?
Yes, I have received that.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So hope that's a win for you. And I guess any other win you like to share quickly on your end? Any update wins recently you'd like to share?
I need to think a little bit a while.
Okay, all right. So do share. Okay, maybe I'll ask you at the end. All right, so I think there's a topic we all can sort of discuss this is something I want to discuss with Mike, but it's actually related to you as well. So it's about how we can move forward with JCF, also JCF's development. Obviously, we do have user experience things to be working. We do have systems that still require some improvement. Okay, and there are certain software work to be done. Okay, but I am actually thinking about have been thinking about a different model of how we want to move things forward given the current situation. I guess in terms of resource, but also in terms of deadline, time-wise. So, and also I think this relates to what Josh wanted to do down the road. Okay, so it's really about, okay, Josh had given me the shared this thought that because he's also now working at another company and seeing how things are being done, so he had a thought that why can't he become an entrepreneur, in a software business and do things much better. Okay, so Josh has this idea about becoming an entrepreneur in the software space, and I thought that's great because we have the best opportunity actually now. So this also, I mean, there are two aspects to what I just said. One is, well, we do have JCF, and JCF wants a CTO. Okay, and I think Josh is a very promising candidate for that role. And also with the project Mike just mentioned, right, for immunology, that's another direction, right, which also means Josh could become more of a software entrepreneur than, moving towards that direction. And there's another, I'm just sharing context, okay, for Mike. And there's a third dimension, which is Josh wants to, in his 3-year looking back, can be involved and can be, involved and potentially be in the leadership role for a very successful open source project. Okay, so combining everything plus various constraints, I am proposing that we start to develop JCF software from now on in an open source manner, and with Mike as CEO and Josh as CTO, and see how things can move on. Okay, and basically what that means is that obviously Josh would want some compensation for his work, right? For the time your effort you're spending. But what I'm proposing is, well, and I think we want to, both Mike and I would definitely want to provide that as best as we can. However, given what we are in a startup mode, okay, and what we have now are ideas, our own time, and we do have also connections and also potential markets or client facing, but we don't have a lot of capital at this time. Okay, so what I'm proposing is that we actually earn, basically tokens, or in other words, shares towards the company as a form of payment. Maybe that is more of something that we can do. Okay, specifically how this will work is that because we already have the wealth system, right, which can issue any kind of tokens. So maybe we can also test this thing ourselves. And because wealth was designed to be a platform for entrepreneurs to fundraise, right, and also maybe to also provide early employees, co-founders incentives. So maybe we should run this ourselves, kind of eat your own dog food. So what I'm suggesting is that maybe we can start to issue JCF company token. Okay, that's basically representing the amount of effort that we are putting into the project. And that obviously in the future will become kind of a company share with both token, dividends, and also voting rights. So that's one aspect. And part of the work will be covered with that, maybe the majority of that. And maybe other aspects will be covered with financial incentive. Okay, I mean actual money. So this is something to be discussed. But then another thing is to really just open source the current system. And I'm saying this with multiple angles. One is that I do feel that the open source model is the best way to engage talents, especially external talents, and also build up community. Okay, and I'm also saying this from the angle that given what recently happened, okay, Josh, you may or may not know this, that the JCF company bank account has been frozen. Right, Josh, I think you know about this, or do you know about this? Our bank
Yes,
account
I
has
know
been
about
frozen.
this.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So part of the thing with, at least in Taiwan, for example, is that the crypto thing might start to be regulated. Okay. And luckily, we discover it's not regulated yet. Okay, it doesn't require a license to operate with crypto, assets or company. But what this tells us is that maybe countries worldwide, they are moving towards more regulation. Okay, so for JCF to really actually scale up massively, and if we were to go into, scale globally and deal with the regulations of our jurisdiction, that would be a pain and not something that's really doable. Okay. So, Mike and I, we actually have been discussing about changing to a different model where assets ownership, actually, we don't own the assets. But what we do provide as JCF is one, investment strategy. Okay, so your crypto assets can grow relatively safely and reliably. Okay, so one is investment strategy. The second aspect is the social dividend part. Okay, so what do you do with the profits gained? Okay, and can you distribute? Can you donate? Can you, move that for social purpose? And I think these two components has been the sort of the core of JCF in terms of the uniqueness. And if we can really like leverage and shine on this, but try to avoid the custodianship, the ownership of the actual assets, that might be a way to move forward faster and easier and cheaper than our current model. Okay, so I think that also coincides with our system becoming more open source, because if that's the case, I'll share about what I see 20 years down the road is that to get to UBI for everyone, it's not just one or two funds. It's actually literally maybe over 1 million funds of different size. Okay, and actually they will have to average about 100 million, let's say on average. Okay, different sizes, so over millions of different funds. So an open source model, I think, also would work nicer for that. And the role for JCF will be the developer, the main developer, the maintainer of the software system, and also the gateway for the the social dividend mechanism. Okay, so that is still a part that we can sort of manage. And also another aspect is probably the account system. Okay, so with this, with a lot of users, they likely want to have a single sign-on, okay, with just a single, single kind of simple account management, where they can manage all their crypto assets and also their crypto donations. Okay, so I think that's a model which is different from what we're currently doing. Okay, it's actually taking our current model into more separate components, and make them combinable more flexibly. There's the strategy part, there's the social dividend part, there's the account management part. Okay, so these three areas, I'm thinking of taking them apart and actually, making the software open source, right? So that other people can use it. However, they would still have to come back to us for, I guess, for the updates, the maintenance, and also gateways to the donation social dividend mechanisms. So, all right, I guess that's a lot. That may be a lot of thoughts, but this is current thinking, okay? And I think I have written down an impact filter, okay, and share it in the Slack, in the general channel as well. So, yeah, so I guess just like to get some feedback. What do you guys think of this, I guess, different model moving forward? And by that, that would also mean to, I guess, would be to invite Josh to become more, more of a core team member. All right, so yeah, Josh, would you like to feedback first? What, any feedback, thoughts, or questions on your side?
I think I need time to think about this.
Okay, sure. This is, but I guess any questions so far regarding my proposal? I'm not saying this is a decision yet. Okay, right now I'm throwing this idea as a proposal to, to both of you actually. So, but do you, let me ask you, do you understand what I'm proposing at this point?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, is there any aspect that's unclear to you, or any like, I guess, things that kind of you have questions or concerns about you'd like to ask first?
I have no question for now.
Okay, all right. Like, any question regarding what's the time commitment? How much will I get paid? Things like that. No, no such questions.
I think it's not right now.
Oh, not right now. Okay. Those will be secondary questions. Okay, all
Yes.
right. This is, yeah, I think this is it's something to think about, okay? Because I think this is also, I think it's an identity change, a shift, I guess for you, right? Right now you've been so far being sort of like a worker, right? Who takes orders from the client or the boss. But this will require you to assume a more active role, okay, and a more proactive role in terms of maybe a lot of things, right?
Yes.
And part of that also relates to, I know you love the Telegram software and community and approach, right?
Right.
So part of this will involve, I can also share with you, maybe a stronger integration of this current JCF approach model with the Telegram ecosystem. Okay, this is something I can also share because, for example, you may not know this, but I actually asked Mike to sort of redesign the current user interface wireframe and the basic design to fit to instant messenger style. Okay, so IM style. So so that and maybe using Telegram as the first platform. Okay, so basically we might want to release wealth with an instant messenger kind of interface as opposed to a web or app kind of interface. Yeah, so this is another thing. All right, so Mike, any feedback questions so far? And again, yeah, they
No, no
no.
questions. I just don't.
Okay.
I don't understand why you're talking about open source again.
Okay.
And last Thursday we spoke about Telegram, and
Right.
again, it's going to take the same amount of time. It's going to, if Josh is going to be doing the coding to
Right.
I don't know, mount JCF onto a Telegram platform, it's still going to take the same kind of work to get the interface right. And it comes back to the same comment: why have we changed the interface? Why are we not leveraging the existing interface on JCF?
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Because that's
Mike has a good
already
point.
there.
Yeah.
It's already set up.
Right.
So
Right.
that's that. And if and if we're happy with that layout,
Right.
then that's that. I think the whole idea about open source, and I think the whole idea about what's going to happen in the future, and that might be visionary thinking, but you're way, way, way ahead of where you actually are right now. At the moment, the reality is you've had 120 odd customers, you're now down to 50 or 60. So you've lost half your customer base. We've
No,
lost
it's
half
still
our
about
customer base.
90. I think it's about 90%. Yeah. I mean,
Sorry,
with a certain amount of assets. Yeah.
I'm not
It's
talking
still
about the
close to
asset
100.
value.
It's close to 100, averaging about $500. That's the current number.
Right. Okay. Fine. Well, okay, that's interesting. So it's close to 100, right?
Yeah, close to 100.
But there's
Yeah.
been some churn, right? And the fund itself isn't growing. So I think the more whether or not it should be open source or not, and whether or not we should be spending time on development or not, in that respect, I think the priority, given the feedback you told me about what these guys said to you, that you gave to me this morning, I think that the dilemma is not thinking about where it might be going. It's about how are we going to achieve the goal that we said we would achieve in June of this year at Collision.
Right.
And that's getting the 1,000 up.
Right. Sure. Right.
Until we get the 1,000 up, everything else I think is that whole argument about scaling. I mean, if we're able to utilize the platform that is currently for JCF main, that's already in existence, that has a certain amount of usability, then that is better than the JCF wealth. JCF wealth might give you the function to do, but again, it's supply and demand. We haven't established whether or not there's any demand for what we're supplying.
Okay.
And the philosophizing about or theorizing about where it might be and why it might be a good idea and may be is inconsequential if there is no demand. At such point that there is a demand for JCF and that we can actually deliver on it, Then we can
Right.
start looking at what are the next milestones over the next quarter, 12 months, 3 years, 10 years.
Right.
And that migration, the action, the whether or not we're custodians or not,
Right.
if you're giving advice to people in the UK for how they should
Right.
be spending their money, which is a non-custodial route that we spoke about last week, we're still going to have to have a whatchamacallit, a license from the FCA.
Okay.
Anyway, look, you've probably got other
alright.
things to do, right?
Yes. There's a second meeting coming up. All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. So I guess this is something I need to do on Mike's end. You think we should work on?
Sorry, were you talking to me then?
Yes. Yeah, that demo will be finished in a short. Okay. So
Sorry?
yeah. All right. So yeah, Mike. All right. I guess any to-dos? Mike, you think we should continue? And
Yeah, look, I can drop off this call and we'll have to just. I think there's stuff that we've got. We haven't finished certain projects yet for us to be able to move on to to new stuff.
okay. All right. Okay. So
But I mean, we
think,
can discuss that later.
okay. So for the book, I did finish the latest version. I'll provide some feedback. Okay, regarding the ordering. Okay. So I think that's something concrete. I see we still don't have an agreement. Okay, on whether to open source or not. Okay, so that's something I will continue to learn and see whether the makes sense. And I think for Josh, think about the offer and the suggestion. All right, because I do feel that we want to have a very different approach for things to move forward. Okay, so yeah, so Josh, would it be all right to maybe share your thoughts, until our next meeting? And I think that will be this before Friday, 5 p.m. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. All right. So yeah, thanks, Mike and Josh. All right. Take care.
See you there.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Have a
Bye
good day.
Bye bye.